In our first story, the assistant headmaster of Accra Girls' School, Prince Agote, has commended the controversial double-track admission system for reducing congestion in the school. The system adopted by government at the beginning of the 2018-19 academic year split those who gained admission to senior high school into two batches, so one will stay at home whilst their colleagues are in school and then swap places when the first group takes a break. Though many complain about the policy, the Accra Girls' assistant headmaster says there have been some positives. Maxwell Agbagba visited the school, leaving as the first batch placed on the green track, prepared to go on vacation, and filed this report.
We're currently here at the Accra Girls' School, where the green track has just ended. Those who came on the green track, they arrived in school on September 11. School is vacating today. The gold track will be reporting tomorrow. So if you come here to Accra Girls, there are a lot of trunks you'd find, here on the compound. A lot of the students are outside waiting patiently here with their student mattresses and all of that. It's quite busy here, although the continuing students are on midterms.
It has been a successful half semester. Accra Girls, we didn't have challenges. You see, all these boils down on preparations. This is a new policy that is being implemented. We have had trainings for preparation of timetable, allocation of PUS, and for a number of days. So based on the orientation we have had, we have been able to put plans in place. There were occasions we had as much as 68 students in the class. Okay. This time we have as low as 39 students, yes, depending on the program. I don't think we will be able to talk about completion of syllabus now. Okay. We are talking about a full semester. This is just half semester. Okay. And from the beginning up to this time, we have schemes of work we have prepared to work with. So there are timelines. We prepare the schemes according to your strength.
He has to go back to review his notebook, read it, and make sure he understands before he comes back. Because this time is the time duration, as the assistant headmaster said, was not as they were expecting. It was a half of it, and they were able to achieve their part. So within this period, I think I also have to also monitor my sister back at home. This should not be a holiday for her, going out and all those things, but she has to always stick to their books and learn. And when the time is up, she comes back again and come and produce what she's.
Elsewhere, students of the WA Senior High Technical School say the time allotted for the double-track system is not enough, as they have not been able to cover their syllabus. Though they boasted that they have the best tutors for the subjects, the 41 days allotted for their studies on campus, according to them, is not enough, as they are unable to grasp topics treated. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam visited the school on their final day and reports.
Let's be better for her.
WA Senior High Technical School admitted a total of 730 students for the senior high school double track system. Out of the number, 315 reported to school for the green track on September 11. Government introduced the double track system in senior high schools in the country to create room to absorb more students to enter senior high schools, thus increasing enrollment, reducing class sizes, increasing contact hours, and the duration of holidays by making use of the existing infrastructure. Authorities at the WA Senior High Technical School blatantly refuse to speak to me on the challenges they grapple with because they have not gotten permission to do so from the Ghana Education Service Office. However, it is evidently and crystal clear that challenges abound in the school. Bayara Mary hails from the Jiruba municipality and was placed here on the green track. She is offering home economics. She walked me through the challenges that they were confronted with the past 41 days of their stay here.
We have not enough classes. We meet under trees. We sit inside the dining hall for prayers, and we make a lot of noise. Our boys, they are suffering. Their chobos are outside. Some are lying on the floor. Some cry. They don't know where to place their choboses. Sometimes the taps are not flowing. Sometimes we waste time at the tap. Sometimes we will not get water. Sometimes we won't even get the water. So due to that, we can't even go to class. We go to the dining hall. We are using the tables that we use during our dining time for the class.
Mary was, however, happy with the quality of teachers and food prepared for them.
We enjoy the food. For the food, there is good. And the teachers, we have enough teachers who teach us all the subjects, and we enjoy the teaching. For the teaching is enough for us. And we have guidance and council coordinators who counsel us and advise us on something that is no good. They also advise, especially the ladies, on how to avoid ourselves from teenage pregnancy.
For Salia Gafour, who is offering general arts, the 4th one-day period for the semester is too short for them to grasp all the topics.
No, it's never enough. It's not enough. Simply because the 2 topics we even treat, but I don't understand them. We have a real number system, real number base, and the 2 set problem. So now we are in 3 set problem, real number base. We haven't finished yet, and they say that our days are limited. That's so this is the date for us to go, and we haven't learned anything yet.
For students of this school who are on the green track, their semester is over for now. They are expected to be away for the next 41 days. Before they left school, they have this pep talk from the assistant headmaster of the school in charge of academics, Mr. Abdul Qadir Sisi.
When you go home, there are classes being organized all over. Those of you who are not from what town, but there's no place now you cannot get SSS students and teachers to organize classes for you. Please make use of those classes. The admission you had is free. But the WASI you are going to write, the outcome of WASI is not going to be free. That one will depend on your hard work.
They will be on vacation till January 5, 2019. As they leave school, Mary and Salia has these suggestions for the government to make the system better.
I think they should stop the double track and let us come together and take our serious studies. Now we are going, our job boxes, where to even place it is not good for us. We are not getting place to place them, and we have to put them well. They are crowded. We can't even put them well. Some of our we have to carry our bags to the house when we are reporting back, and we will bring them. So if it was that, it's not double tracker. If all of us come together, when we are about going, we'll get enough place to place our items.
We need more days, so because we need more days, they have to cancel the double track system and just let us come together and learn well.
Now that the semester is over for the green track, preparations are far ahead for the gold track to also come on. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Vice Chair of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Nagra Jacob Anaba, joins me on the telephone now. Thank you for making time to join us, Mr. Anaba. What is your assessment of the just ended green track system?
Thank you, Israel. Good evening.
Good evening.
And then good evening to your listeners. I'm the Vice President, not the Chair. I have followed through your report, and then the issues that come up, you can really see our concern from the beginning. We told the whole country the challenges that will come when this program is rolled out, and exactly the program, the challenges that you are hearing are exactly what we stated from the beginning. One, it is very theoretical to say that when a semester is rolled out, you will have the numbers reduced, and you have enough contact hours, and the students will have time with their teachers, and teaching and learning will have the highest efficiency. But from the report that we've just heard, it is not the case, because they have not been able to cover the syllabus that they are supposed to cover within the period.
Well, we had 2 reports, Mr. Anaba. There was one from Accra Girls and there was another from WA. It turns out that the teachers in WA don't quite have a problem, except those in WA appear to have some challenges.
Israel, I listened to your statement 2 days ago. Accra High, the students said they were not able to cover the syllabus 2 days ago. Today, Accra Girls is a different issue. It's possible, but in reality, you will not have 100% coverage.
Yes, of the syllabus.
Yes, that is one of the issues. The other issue is that the teachers who are involved, those who are teaching the semester and teaching the continuous students, and they are doing both, they have a challenge because they will not have holidays. So they are overloaded. So for the period that they are going on this break, they will come back and they will continue because they were told that in March they will break, and there is not going to be a break now, as we understand it.
Government talks about the new teachers that are being deployed to these schools. Is that not the case?
We are hearing it because the headmasters have told them that they should come back. They are going to continue. So that information they delayed. They are not well informed. We have had complaints from our teachers. They are overloaded, and the pressure on them is too much. So when the mind becomes very tired, we don't know what to go on in the classroom. It will not be good for our students.
All right, but there's some positives to all of this as well, because we heard the Accra Girls Assistant Headmaster talking about the fact that there's, in fact, less congestion in the schools.
Yes. If you look at it, what really happened was that most of the students who belong to the green track were not able to come in time. So at the beginning, there were less congestion, and most of the good schools, or what should I even say, those schools who are well endowed, who have the infrastructure, who have the status, they do not have a problem. But if you go to schools that just started, they don't have the structure, they really will suffer. So some schools can take the numbers, and some schools will really suffer. So it depends on which school you have visited. I visited about 3 schools in the Brong-Ahafo region, and they have had their luggage outside the dormitory. They are outside the dormitory. So
there was a similar experience at Wa.
Yes. So it means that in spite of the reason given to ensure that we decongest the classrooms and the dormitory, it is not the case in practical.
But regarding the congestion, though, some of the complaints that we've heard, there are complaints which really, if we didn't have double track, there will still be encounter those challenges. If you talk about congestion, if we had all the students joining for one track, we would still have those complaints about congestion, wouldn't we?
Yes. You know, we have cut off the private senior high schools. They are no more part of the mainstream because hitherto, a lot of the students would have gone to the private schools to reduce the numbers to the public schools. So all are now going to the public schools. So you cannot speak about this case if you have left an area that could have absorbed a number of the students.
But there are private schools that are still admitting freshers.
How many of them? Because they have not been encouraged, they have not been motivated, they have not been given a serious role to play in the pre-SHS policy. So most of them are not sure what they are doing. They are doing it at a very high risk, and they have a constraint, and they are doing that.
Mr. Naba, what would you suggest government does to resolve some of the challenges that you have identified?
Seriously speaking, unless we complete the full cycle,
all right,
that is the goal, then we can come up with a very comprehensive report
all right,
on the challenges. But for us to speak of challenges now, even the managers are not speaking. The headmaster, you went to a school, they are not ready to speak. I will not be able to tell what their problems are. They will not speak to you. So the challenges are there. They are not ready to speak. Unless we also do a survey, we interview a number of people, then we come to a very good conclusion on the the challenges. If not, we will not be doing ourselves very good work.
All right. Thank you very much, Jacob Anaba. Jacob Anaba is Vice President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers. Now, moving on, labor unions at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have described as unlawful and undemocratic government's demand for them to change their representatives on the yet-to-be-constituted University Council. Executive member of UTAC, Otri Adai-Mensah, says it is against the acts and statutes establishing the university and will be a bad precedent if allowed. Mr. Adai-Mensah is also appealing to well-meaning bodies such as the Peace Council and clergy associations to intervene, as he describes their silence as deafening. He spoke with Love News' Kwesi Deborah.
I think that where we are is a very crucial moment. And we want to ask the Peace Council, Kali Bishop Conference, the Chief Imam, and all other well-meaning Ghanaians to speak on this matter, because the constitutional rights of the respective unions in our universities, Kenya University, has been breached. And we don't want things to degenerate to a point where cannot be salvaged. So this is the time. If they have anything to say or any intervention, this is it. This stalemate to occur, and our children, our nephews, our nieces to be staying home in a very important university like this with international students, everything grinding to a halt, and such key stakeholders are in this country and they are not talking, I think their silence is deafening. So we are calling them not to speak if they really mean well.
The Association of Teacher Trainees on Wednesday took to the streets to protest a directive by the Ghana Education Service that they undergo mandatory national service. The directive, which takes effect from this year, will mean that trainees will now be employed by government only after they have served the one-year national service. The trainees, however, say this is unfair, especially because government has been unable to assign any justifications for the change in policy. Nancy Amefa-Jaradozi joined the protesters in our reports.
The trainees converged at the Obras port near the Kwame Nkrumah interchange in the morning, holding placards with inscriptions such as "Post us now" and "Our parents are crying," among others. They say they could not fathom why they are being made to undergo compulsory national service.
Government is frustrating our proceedings. Teacher trainees, the government is frustrating our proceedings. In the first place, we know the normal thing that we used to do is that when we are done, we get posted by GS into the various basic school automatically. All of a sudden, on the 25th of October last month, you brought another directive that we should register with national service personnel. They are imposing policies on us. We see that they are imposing policies on us, and it is unfair on the part of the government to do that to us.
As they moved through the streets of Adabraka towards the Heart of Oak Park, they were joined by another set of trainees from the Brongahafo and Ashanti regions. The protesters were upset when at the Accra Heart of Oak Park, they were told they could not go to the office of the Vice President as they expected. The police would, however, not budge. An offer by the police to bring in an official from the Education Ministry to meet the protesters was also rejected. The trainees explained their last meeting with the Education Minister did not go too well.
The Minister for Education, Dr. Matthew Prokupembre, did not respect the nearly 20 teachers, most especially their leaders. In a meeting with him, myself, I was part of that meeting, and the way I was treated and other friends or other colleagues were treated is very sad and it's very bad. In fact, at a point in time, he has to ask you to leave a meeting if he realizes that you have a point, you have something to say for nearly 20 teachers, so he realizes he's against what he wants or he is not in support of it.
Eventually, though, the police arrived with the Deputy Education Minister, Yao Educhum, whose welcome was not favorable. But they finally delivered their petition to the Deputy Minister. Dr. Duchum later addressed the media and assured them the petition will be delivered to the right authority.
The petition will be delivered to the intended recipients immediately. Okay, which is your ministry, who is in charge of all of this?
No, they said the vice president.
TTAG has meanwhile vowed to hold series of protests till the policy is revered.
Trade and Industry Minister Alan Chamanting says 79 projects under the One District, One Factory program are currently at various levels of completion. Responding to questions on the floor of Parliament on progress of work on the program, Mr. Chamanting said whilst some of the factories are under construction, funding approval has now been given for others. But the minority says government has failed to deliver on its promises on the deadline for establishment of the factories. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has more.
The Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Chamanting, told Parliament that out of the 79 factories expected to come on stream, about 22 of them will be right here in the Greater Accra region, and we would also have the Ashanti region and the Bono Ahafo region, each having 13 factories. He says there are additional funds coming all the way from China in order to help ensure more of such factories are built.
Some of these 79 projects indicated in the table above have commenced operations. Others are under construction, whilst others have received approval from the participating financial institutions and are ready to commence implementation.
But minority MPs raised concerns that previous timelines that had been given by the NPP, including timelines spelled out in their own manifesto, had not been adhered to, and they demanded answers from the minister.
During the vetting of the Honorable Minister, I was present, and he made a categorical statement that these factories that were to be built from scratch would be on stream within 1 year to 2 years.
It is unlikely that with my modest experience in the private sector and in industry, that I would have given an indication that within 1 year or 2 years, all the 260 factories would have been completed.
Some MPs are however raising issues with how come government is not focusing on reviving collapsed factories, and it's just focused on bringing in new factories. Angelo Foruwate is a member of the Employment Committee of Parliament.
We have old or existing factories that collapsed years back. So instead of putting all the energy in this campaign message, 1D, 1F, why don't we revamp or invest in revamping these new factories or bringing them back to work? Is it not also easier in terms of investment to use existing structures that we have, especially maybe with a new investor, you now have to do build a house or a factory house, you have to build a warehouse or something. We should rather invest in the old ones so that we can start from somewhere. And so my suggestion is that the Polugu factory is there, the Japon testers is there. We need rice, so much rice in this country. Aveime is there. Others are scattered all over. The sugar factory that they are talking about is there. They should just go and do something so that these factories, people will start working there.
Right, so the other news that we have for you this evening is the IGP who's facing a conviction where the Attorney General is intervening. Now, the High Court has set November 19 to decide the fate of the convicted IGP. So it says it will rule on an application by the government lawyer seeking to overturn the conviction of the #1 police officer for criminal contempt. The Deputy Attorney General, Godfrey Dami, believes the trial judge committed a serious error of law because some mandatory procedures were not followed in executing the judge's order. That order was to provide security for the execution of a court order for the eviction of police officers residing in a 12-block flat at Medina in Accra. The property belongs to two citizens, Samuel Agri Jr. and Augustine Jeche. The order was a culmination of decades of legal tussle dating back to 1988 when a woman, Mrs. Agri, now deceased, sued Redco for defaulting in paying her some monies. Redco's property is to be sold to defray the debts owed the deceased. But before this could happen, Redco gave out the property to the police, which used it as residential accommodation for police officers. The presiding judge, Justice Daniel Mensah, took serious view of the conduct of the police chief and said he must be sanctioned appropriately. We're taking a break now. We'll bring you showbiz next. The Securities and Exchange Commission is cautioning investors not to rush to invest in the new online trading scheme recently launched by gold dealership firm Men's Gold. Head of Legal and Enforcement at SEC, Kalis Ni Oman Badu, says they are currently monitoring the new scheme and won't hesitate to crack the whip if they discover that it falls within their regulatory ambit and is operating without the requisite license. Joseph Akable joins me on telephone with the very latest details on that. So, Joseph, explain to me or tell us how this came about.
So it was actually a news conference addressed by leadership of the Securities and Exchange Commission. I was to brief the press on their 20th anniversary, the activity they intend to undertake to mark that anniversary. Now, I was during a question and answer session that the question was posed about whether SEC was aware of this fresh scheme that had been launched by the gold dealership and whether they had even been informed about it in the first place. And the head of legal's response was that they had not been informed by the company that they were launching such a product. Then the other question was whether so far they have been able to do some investigations into the activities they are running. The head of legal said that just 3 days ago, they noticed that that particular scheme had been launched. And over the past 3 days, they've started monitoring it. They are trying to understand how that system operates. And the aim, he says, is to ensure that check their laws, check the kind of trading that is taking place, whether it is something that falls within SEC's mandate. And once it falls within SEC's mandate, it means that obviously, because they've not been informed, it obviously means that SEC has not given them the license to carry out that operation. And once they realize that they will not hesitate to crack the whip, in which instance it means, like they did in the situation of the other matters that are currently before the courts, they have to move in, engage them, and try to get them to shut down that aspect of the business. And so they are monitoring closely, and they are advising that investors or individuals who want to, for whatever reason, engage in this particular scheme, they should be a bit patient and cautious as SEC monitors the situation.
Now, what else did SEC say about Men's Gold? Because they had some issues with them previously, and is it the case that they've wrapped up those investigations or whatever issues they had with the company back then?
A question was posed about whether they have concluded discussions with them, because you recall before the legal battle between SEC and Men's Gold and DOJ commenced, the company was already engaging the gold dealership to try and understand the nature of their business, and lots of statements coming from SEC and Men's Gold on whether they should go ahead with operations or not. Now, SEC says that engagement that was going on has hit a snag in that the court case that Men's Gold initiated against the SEC and DOJ, that meant that they had to end the discussions abruptly. So that discussions have so far not yielded much. What they are following through now is the court case, and he explained that they made a court appearance already. The case was adjourned to later in this month, so they are looking forward to continuing with that case.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Akable, bringing us that update on the story there. In other news, 3 sub-chiefs have been arrested by the Ashanti Region Police over the demolition of about 20 structures and the construction at Fayase in the Bosumchi district of the region. Also wanted in connection with the demolition on a disputed parcel of land is the chief of the town, Nana Adai Jamra, who is said to have traveled out of the country. The affected property owners are said to be particularly outraged because they say the dispute was pending before the Santihini Otumfuo II and have accused the local police of complicity for providing security for the exercise. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports.
The sight that greets anyone who visits this area is the debris of the demolished buildings. Owners of the demolished structures are yet to move into them. One of the owners, Kwesi Dechi, told the news team via telephone he's yet to recover from the shock.
There is litigation case between Feyase and Abontem Chief, which was before Otumfuo. We heard Otumfuo had made a ruling on the matter, following which we were given permission to proceed with construction. I was working on my land when the incident occurred. The building, which was at roofing stage, had 4 bedrooms with toilet and bath, kitchen, hall and dining. I have spent almost 200 million on the project. Since it was demolished, I haven't eaten. I don't even know what to do.
Some caretakers who will not speak on record say they heard the sound of an equipment at dawn, only to wake up to see the buildings demolished. Some angry residents of the area want their chief held responsible for the illegal act.
The demolished has come through at the land of Anoche, that's the land. The king also ordered the people, some people, organize them to demolish almost about 21 burners houses are there, and they demolish at 10,000, almost 20,000 blocks. It's a fact. It's not. It's unfair. I'm very worried because all the police, the commander, the crime officer, they take all the other king, Jassy, Lifahin, and other, to arrest them. They are all inside that squad. We are appealing, and then the commander to get we are appealing to fighting for the bread for them.
He wants Otumfuo to intervene.
Otumfuo accepts. We need help from Onana Majesty's Majesty to come in and take the decision which must be done to that Nana Jamra at the Feyase. But he also try and do enough. We try to appeal. We are appealing the Nana to come in because it is a serious matter.
The Ashanti Regional Police Command will not respond to accusations a local police officer provided security for the demolition, except to say it is investigating the matter. Officials will also not confirm or deny suggestions the suspected chief was absconded. 3 sub-chiefs have meanwhile been arrested in the absence of the chief. Mahmoud Mohammed Noureddin's report for Joy News.
The Police Motor Traffic and Transport Department says the increasing spate of accidents has made it imperative for the training of accident investigators and prosecutors. Speaking at a training program Wednesday, the commanding officer of the Accra Central MTTD, ACP Anderson Fosuaka, revealed Greater Accra recorded over 4,000 road accidents with over 200 deaths at the end of the 3rd quarter of this year. Here's a report by Philip Ankra.
The Greater Accra region at the end of the 3rd quarter of 2018 recorded about 4,125 accidents with 240 people killed and 1,775 injured. Addressing participants at a workshop to train investigators, the Accra Central MTTD Commander ACP Anderson Fosuaka described the statistics as scary for any road user.
Yeah, the purpose of this course, it has 2 folds. The first one is to upgrade our investigators and prosecutors regarding accident investigation and prosecution of offenders. And the second aspect is that as a result of the investigation, it will determine the cause of accident so that we can forward it to our headquarters and they take it to the policy makers to know some of the causes of accident. And we are doing this training at the time that the accident rate is very, very high.
The workshop organized by Ghana Post is also intended to promote the use of the digital address system to locate and map out accident scenes. Head of Corporate Communications at Ghana Post, Kobihima Osisiadan Bekwin, explains how the collaboration will enhance the work of prosecutors and investigators.
Then seeing investigators go to locations and they do sketches. When they sketch, Ghana Post GPS is saying that every place in Ghana has a digital address. So now they're going to build their capacity to know how to use the Ghana Post GPS so that when there is an accident and they go to the location, they will generate the digital address of the accident scene and add it when they are writing their report. From today, when you go to the police service and your member was involved in an accident, what is going to happen is that they will just give you the digital address of the accident location and you can visit the place with it.
A beneficiary of the program, Chief Inspector Williams Kisi, believes the workshop will enable them understand accident scenes better.
The course outline is giving us the in-depth of accident investigation, how we should
conduct ourselves as investigators and come out with the best of investigation to determine the cost of the accident and to make sure that we stop the carnage on our road. We might not be able to stop all at a day, but we bring it to the minimum level.
Philip Ankrest report for Joy News.
A 25-year-old has allegedly killed his mother under bizarre circumstances at Amuamang in the Kuma Ngwabuja North District of the Ashanti region. Kofi Atta went berserk when 65-year-old Akosia Yewa tried to restrain him from stepping out of the home at midnight. He is said to have pushed her down and hit her with a kitchen stool, killing her instantly. Nanaya Juma visited the family house and filed this report.
Relatives say it was the third time the young man had acted strangely, though he is not known to have any abnormality. In one instance, he, Kofi Atta, caused injury to some people and destroyed property. The mother had since kept a close eye on him and prevented him from going out. Mourners from in and around Amormai community have gathered at the family house following Wednesday's tragic incident. Some of them converge at the spot where the old woman gave up the ghost. Adjoa Mespa is Kofi Atta's sibling. Our mother will not make him go out because whenever he goes out in such conditions, he either harm people or destroy property. He pushed her to the ground and started hitting her with a wooden stool. None of us will get closer because we were afraid. One of my aunties went out for help, but since it was done, the help came late. Mother had died, but they were early to save my grandmother. 63-year-old Akwesia Pierre's face is partly covered with plaster, with reddened eyes, after he was reportedly assaulted by Kofi Atta in one of the strange outbursts. He claims Atta accused him of being a wizard. I heard him call my name that dawn. Insults followed. Then my wife told me to join her flee. I thought he couldn't have broken in, so I ignored her. Unfortunately for me, he broke the door and pounced on me. Kofi Atta was arrested and granted bail the next day by the police at Ethiopia. Relatives say even in police custody, he went wild. They believe he is possessed by unknown spirits because he attacks a local scared object anytime he slumps into the uncontrolled state. Adjoa Mespa again. She says, my brother kept repeating that he's a star whenever he goes berserk. He goes naked and says they have taken all that he owns and have sold it abroad. We all believe the shrine has a star, and some say the ornaments that come with it have been stolen. We believe that he was taken by the spirits, a fetish who came here to perform some rituals. At the spot the star is buried said something bad will happen after his exit. Swami Divisional Police Command has since taken up the matter. And the entire Amormai community lives in fear. They believe whatever caused this young man to commit such atrocity continue to stay in this community. They believe the community would need a spiritual cleansing to deal with this situation. Until that is done, the people here are afraid for their lives. From Amormai, for Joy News, Nanaya Jima reporting.
Now, relative calm is said to be returning to Mogadishu, the Somali capital, following the deployment of 160 police officers from 6 African countries, including Ghana. My colleague Justice Beidou is currently embedded with the African Union Mission, AMISOM, in the East African nation, and sending the following report.
This is the 14th October bombing memorial site in the heart of the Somali capital, Mogadishu. It was a bloody day in 2017, even by Somali standards, with nearly 600 people killed in a massive blast caused by a truckload of explosives. This used to be a busy hub. Today, in its stead, a giant tower has been raised with a red light illuminating the area within the runabout where it stands. Several vehicles pass by solemnly. This feels like a heavy ground. Buildings brought down to the rubble, bullet holes still visible all across many of them. Evidence of a nation still at war. This country has been fighting for decades now, and that is why AMISOM, the African Union Mission Police Force, is here to help restore law and order. Day and night, they embark on these patrols, training the local police force to take over once they are gone.
It is a Somali-led patrol, Somali SPF-led patrol. We are supporting, and it is to assure the public that the police have the capacity to provide security for them. People now have confidence in their police. They see the police as a very refined institution. They now approach the police for assistance. The police are gradually getting on top of their responsibilities.
It has gone past 10 here, and many people have retired from the streets of Mogadishu. But the men from AMISOM are still here, stopping and searching every single vehicle. This is to give reassurance that safety is gradually coming back to the once deadly streets of Mogadishu.
We have so many security bodies around here, which actually they have contributed much about the security. We have like AMISOM, we have people like AU, you see, we have AU. So I think that has contributed much as far as security is concerned.
Now I feel I'm okay, and other people, they are feeling secure. There are more security, there are more for security for Somalia. They have mixed it, now they have together, they have been working so nicely.
Roger, this is India 2 on the mind.
The Somali war may be far from over. Al-Shabaab terrorists are still at work, detonating bombs almost on a weekly basis. AMISOM says the number of men and women it has is woefully inadequate. But for now, things seem better than they used to be, and hopefully, with more resources, this once beautiful African nation will be able to put itself together again. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Mogadishu, Somalia.